All right, everybody, welcome to the show. Tonight, Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks, official for Wrestlemania. Roman Reigns chokes out Daniel Bryan on Smackdown. Apollo Crews is Nigerian royalty. And New Japan Strong, Moxley versus Kenta. We got your live coverage. Wrestling Uncensored starts right now. Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Wrestling Uncensored. I am Dave Simon. My main man, Johnny North, is with me. What's up, Johnny?
Not much. I thought Smackdown was okay at best. Not the greatest episode. Not a bad episode, but not really exciting.
No, man, not much happened tonight. I feel like, going into tonight, I was like, well, what are we going to break down here? What really happened on Smackdown? We'll get you caught up top to bottom on what happened on tonight's Smackdown, the Apollo Crews promo, the Roman Reigns attack, the match between Jey Uso and Daniel Bryan, and, of course, the Bianca Belair Reginald thing that happened. Shout out to our members. I see Craig Paquette is on the chat. Shout out to Craig. Shout out to Patrick C. Hamilton. Douglas Hepburn. What's up, Doug? Evening, Patrick. Appreciate the members. Support the channel. Become a member. Become a member on the YouTube channel. Go to donate.ringsidereport.net. And you can also get merch over at merch.ringsidereport.net. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to the video. When you subscribe, you click that bell so you get notifications every time we're on. I'll be back here tomorrow night with my boys, AJ and Freddie. AJ likes to call it date night. I'm uncomfortable with that naming of the show. It's a watch-along of a UFC show. We're going to be watching the Cyril Gane, Jairzinho Rosenstrike fight tomorrow night. Big UFC show in Vegas. But tonight we're talking professional wrestling. And usually it's just WWE. We throw in some AEW here. Of course, Johnny and I have... It's an AEW show now, basically. Wednesday nights right after Dynamite, we break down everything that goes down in AEW, everything that happened on Dynamite. We talked about Paul White, formerly known as The Big Show, joining AEW. We previewed the AEW Crossroads edition, and next week on the show right after Dynamite, we will not only recap Dynamite, but preview AEW Revolution, so their pay-per-view coming up in just over a week on a Sunday. AEW pay-per-views traditionally on Saturdays. This one's going to be on Sunday, March the 7th. So if you're looking for AEW coverage, go watch the Wednesday night show that Johnny and I do live after Dynamite. That's where the AEW stuff is going to be. Tonight we're talking about what's going on tonight right now in professional wrestling. Not only SmackDown going on tonight, but I have in front of me, I'm going to do a little watch-along for you. I'm watching the New Japan Strong New Beginning USA show, where the main event will be the IWGP United States Champion Jon Moxley defending against Kenta. So an AEW versus New Japan match. A lot of promo and hype has been done for it on the AEW Dynamite show, and that match is coming up real soon, so I'll let you know what happens between Jon Moxley and Kenta, if there's any kind of AEW interference. So I've got my eye on that for you as well tonight, as Chris Dickinson makes his way into the ring to take on Ren Narita here on the New Japan Strong show. Moxley's making a big name for himself outside of AEW. I haven't seen it, but I heard it was fantastic. The Davey Boy Smith Jon Moxley match at Bloodsport, the Josh Barnett show last weekend. I heard it was great. Didn't see it. I'm sure it was fantastic. John, you didn't see it either, I'm guessing?
I did not see it, but yeah, I can imagine it was probably pretty good.
Mm-hmm. It's like a shoot-style promotion. Moxley and Davey Boy Smith Jr. in a shoot-style match. I'm sure it was fantastic. And Moxley has another big one tonight. Let's get to SmackDown. What happened on SmackDown tonight? Roman Reigns starts off the show with an in-ring promo. It's funny, I was watching SmackDown with my son, who's 3.5, and he asked me, Daddy, why is Roman Reigns always starting SmackDown? Why does he talk for so long? Let's stop watching SmackDown. And this is, I'm not teaching him this. This is just his thoughts. This is a 3.5-year-old who's sick of this. And he likes Roman Reigns. So, those were my feelings as soon as Roman Reigns' music hit to start SmackDown. It feels like the SmackDown theme song and Roman Reigns' theme song are one and the same. Because it seems like every single week Roman comes out to a promo you can barely hear because their crowd noise is too loud and Roman speaks at a whisper. Did not love this promo from Roman Reigns. Another one of these, I'm head of the table, I'm Roman Reigns. He didn't feel like celebrating his win from Elimination Chamber because Edge ruined his moment because he speared him at the end of the night or at the end of the match. Roman says Edge should stay home and not even show up at WrestleMania because a man like Edge doesn't stand a chance against a man like Roman. Daniel Bryan shows up and says, hey, Roman, you beat me right after the Elimination Chamber, and it was kind of a cowardly thing to do. But I'm not saying that. That's just what people are saying. People are saying it was kind of cowardly that, I do a chamber match and then you face me right away to defend your title. And also, you would think that the head of the table wouldn't defend his championship in the second match on the card. How come it wasn't the main event? Was it because Roman isn't main event worthy? Or is it because Roman didn't want to give Daniel Bryan time to recover after the Elimination Chamber? Of course, that match was a farce. Daniel Bryan goes through a grueling Elimination Chamber, wins the whole thing, and then has to face Roman Reigns right after. It was obvious he was going to lose, and it was obvious that Daniel Bryan needed some sort of revenge. So not surprising to see Daniel Bryan show up during the Roman Reigns bit and challenge Roman to a title match at Fastlane. Jey Uso got in Daniel Bryan's face and threatened him, and Bryan went face-to-face with Roman, and Jey Uso attacked him from behind, and it seems like we have a match. Edge backstage with Sonya Deville. This is when it got weird, right? Edge backstage with Sonya and Adam Pearce. Edge wants to know what's going on. Is Daniel Bryan getting a title shot? What's happening? And they say, look, this is the deal. If Daniel Bryan can beat Jey Uso tonight, then he'll get a title match with Roman at Fastlane. And if he's the champion, well, you can face him at WrestleMania. And Edge doesn't like that for some reason. I'm not clear on why Edge doesn't like that idea. Why is Edge mad that his opponent might not be Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? Is it that he feels Roman is a bigger draw and he'll make more money wrestling Roman at the big show? Is it that he feels Daniel Bryan is a tougher challenge than Roman Reigns and he doesn't want to face Daniel Bryan? It didn't really make sense, and that's a thing that plagues the WWE's booking. Their character motivations don't really add up. Why would Edge, babyface, not want fellow babyface Daniel Bryan to take the championship away from evil heel Roman Reigns so that they could have a nice, respectful match between legends at WrestleMania? What's Edge's problem, Johnny? Explain that to me.
Well, Edge made his decision. He wanted to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, but now Roman Reigns might not make it to WrestleMania, so he went through all that effort for his decision, attacking Roman, kind of making it like now it's kind of personal to where it's like, well, he still might not make it to WrestleMania, even though he still will make it. The fact that there's some doubt, Edge wasn't happy about that, because like when you decide I'm going to face this champion, and then it's like, well, that champion might not make it, it kind of throws away what his decision was about in the first place.
What was his decision about?
The fact that he wanted to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
Why?
Because that's who he chose.
Because Roman's a jerk? Yeah, but what is the motivation for Edge? Like, why Roman? Edge got a title match at WrestleMania by winning the Royal Rumble, right? He could face Miz. He could face Bobby Lashley. He could face, whoever the WWE champion is going to be. He chose to face Roman. I don't really understand why Edge, the character, wants Roman specifically, other than he's such a dastardly heel and Edge wants to stop his reign of terror. Is that it? Edge is just such a good guy that he wants to be the one to stop Roman? Well, if that's the case, then why wouldn't he be happy for Daniel Bryan, fellow good guy, to stop the reign of Roman in the first place? Like, before he even gets a chance to get it, so that they could have a nice match between two good guys, two legitimate gentlemen at WrestleMania. It doesn't really make sense. It kind of made Edge seem like a dick in that moment. Because if you're a Daniel Bryan fan, which I am above everything else, right? I'm kind of like, hey, what's your problem, Edge? What, are you going to cost Daniel Bryan the match here? What's the story? Why don't you want Daniel Bryan to face Roman at WrestleMania? Is it because you're selfish? Is it because you're a heel? Is it because you want to be the one because it's an ego thing? Or is it because you're afraid of Daniel Bryan because you know who the real challenge is? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're Daniel Bryan's advocate, which I am, I'm for hire Daniel Bryan, wouldn't you be pissed at Edge? Because in that moment, I was kind of like, whoa, Edge. What are you trying to say here? Are you trying to say Daniel Bryan isn't a big enough draw for you to face him at WrestleMania? Or are you scared? You know what I'm saying? The character motivation of babyface Edge in that promo didn't add up. It didn't. And I don't care what you say to me, nothing will make it make sense.
Well, yeah, there's no point in me debating this with you because I can bring up some great points and it doesn't even matter. So,
no, go
what's
ahead.
The point
bring up your great points. That's why you're here.
Well, the fact is, Edge was kind of pissed because, Adam Pearce pretty much went behind his decision of, he's going to face Roman Reigns. And, well, we're just going to throw away that title shot and, Daniel Bryan gets the shot instead first. So, too bad, Edge. Doesn't matter what you decide. We make the rules around here.
Well, Daniel Bryan won an Elimination Chamber and then got totally screwed afterwards. Can't Edge realize that Daniel Bryan has been wronged? Daniel Bryan got screwed. Edge, as a babyface, as a good guy, should want the wrongs to be righted, and he should want the better man to show up at WrestleMania, whoever that may be. That's what a true legend and a true good guy would do. That's what John Cena would do. John Cena wouldn't care who he faces at WrestleMania, because whoever it is, they're going down for the 3-second tan. Or whatever he says. Is it 3-second tan?
I don't know the song that well. I don't really care about the song whatsoever. But the last time I saw John Cena, it was one of the worst WrestleMania matches ever. So I'm glad we're not seeing John Cena at all this year. And I'm looking forward to Edge. Edge and Roman Reigns, that's the match I want to see. I don't want to see Daniel Bryan versus Edge. I think that would be a good match, but there's no heat there.
Yeah. I got the whole block wishing they could run with my division, but they gone fishing with no bait. Can't your boy hold weight? I got my soul straight. I brush your mouth like Colgate. In any weather, I'm never better. Your boy's so hot, you'll never catch me in the next man's sweater. And if they hate, let them hate. I drop their whole clan. Lay your ass down for the 3-second tan. That's what I thought it was, but I don't know.
The song that helped kill wrestling.
Are you kidding? It's the greatest song in the history of the business. It's one of the greatest entrance songs ever, John. Come on, man. And as far as originals, like WWE original songs performed by a WWE superstar, that's probably the best.
Problem is, it was overdone. John Cena was overdone. That was the problem. And thankfully, we finally moved on. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of people along the way, and hopefully Roman Reigns can bring them all back now.
Wrestling fans? Roman Reigns is going to bring back the fans because he's such an electric performer. Okay. Otis and Gable won a match tonight. They beat the Mysterios. And Otis, or as the announcer calls him, Otis. Have you noticed? Was it Greg Hamilton? All the guys with O names, it's like Otis, Kevin Owens, everybody. It's like he's singing Jungle Boy song. You know? It's a musical show tonight. Good God. Anyways, Otis and Gable beat the Mysterios. Otis hit a World's Strongest Slam and a second rope splash on Rey Mysterio for the win. Otis won, beat Rey clean in the middle of the ring. Otis and Gable actually won a match, and it was Otis getting the pin on Rey, not Dominic. I guess Rey's trying to, protect Dominic for the future, take some losses for the team. I like Otis and Gable winning a match. They needed to win a match at some point. And I like the Mysterios as just a tag team. They're just a team in the division. I could see them winning a couple matches and challenging the Dirty Dogs for the belts. Right? Ziggler and Rude. I mean, obviously the Street Profits at some point they'll be next. But I think the Mysterios as a babyface team against Ziggler and Rude would work. I think Ziggler and Rude could both work well with Dominic, help him along. They're both veterans, solid wrestlers. Their stuff with Dominic wouldn't look bad. You know what I mean? I think it'd be fine. Better than putting Dominic in there with Corbin or something like that. Put him in there with Ziggler and Robert Roode. They'll know what to do.
Well, just so they can throw everyone on the WrestleMania card, I wouldn't be surprised if we see like a Four Corners match at WrestleMania. Hopefully it would be like a ladder match. That'd be actually fantastic. I think if they did a Four Corners ladder match for tag titles.
Yeah. I think that would be fun. I was really happy to see Otis and Gable win a match. Like, when's the last time they won anything?
Wow. Yeah, it's kind of been a while, sadly.
Right?
Like, especially Gable. Like, I don't remember Gable, like, ever really winning a match, like, forever, really, almost.
Months,
so,
if not years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Ooh, yeah, it might be.
Yeah, like, Chad Gable, that might have been his first win in, like, 2 years. I'm not sure. I mean, we could go back. I'm sure there's a record of that somewhere, but it's been a while for Otis and Gable, so it was nice to see them pick up a victory tonight. Doug Hepburn on the chat says, Edge versus Daniel Bryan would be the greatest wrestling match ever. I agree, and that's why it's not going to happen at WrestleMania. I mean, Edge Bryan, for me, is a far more appealing match than Roman Edge, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Daniel Bryan's beating Roman Reigns at Fastlane, and, we'll get to what happened. I guess we can skip to the end here with the Roman and Daniel Bryan deal. So, the match is Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso. Daniel Bryan does a promo with Edge backstage. Well, actually, he's interviewed first, and he talks about facing Edge at Mania, and he thinks that his chances are pretty good of beating Jey Uso and then beating Roman and being the guy to face Edge at Mania. He says he thinks he has a better chance than Edge at beating Roman, and he doesn't think Edge can beat Roman. Bryan thinks Edge might be a little rusty. So Edge shows up, and he's like, oh, okay, interesting thoughts. Who do you think would win if we faced each other at WrestleMania? And Bryan says, well, I'll keep that answer to myself for now. And they kind of, look at each other, and there's tension. And then that was it. But they built a little bit of tension. And the reason they're building that tension is not because Edge and Daniel Bryan are going to face each other at Mania. It's because Daniel Bryan is going to face Roman Reigns at Fastlane, and they have to make you believe that Roman Reigns won't be the opponent for Edge at Mania, because then why are you watching the Daniel Bryan-Roman Reigns title match at Fastlane? If Daniel Bryan has a shot at winning the title, well, then he has a shot at facing Edge at Mania, and the WWE wants you to watch Fastlane, so they want you to think that Daniel Bryan will maybe beat Roman. But to do that, he's got to have some interactions with Edge, and there has to be some tension. But it's all smoke and mirrors, because Daniel Bryan is not going to wrestle Edge at WrestleMania, because that will be too good. and it would leave Roman on the outside looking in when he's been Universal Champion for a good chunk of time, and it definitely seems like his time to main event another Mania. However, as a pro wrestling fan, as a Daniel Bryan fan, and as an Edge fan, I would much rather see the dream match that is Edge versus Daniel Bryan than Edge versus Roman Reigns. I don't think I'm alone. I think a lot of people would rather see that match, but that's not what we're going to get. We're going to get Roman versus Edge, and it'll be, Bryan versus Edge would be incredible. 5-star match would be a classic. Roman versus Edge will not be a classic, all-time great wrestling match. It won't be. It might sell more. It might do better numbers. It might look better on a poster or whatever the hell metric WWE is going to use. But as a just wrestling fan, for my enjoyment, personally, Daniel Bryan and Edge is more fun. Would you prefer Roman versus Edge at Mania, John? You're going to say yes because you just like hurting my feelings, I think.
Well, I just think it's a bigger match when you think about it. You think about the main events of WrestleMania, like that's the end of night 2 WrestleMania right there. If it's Daniel Bryan Edge, if that main event's the first night, I'd be kind of like, that's as far as it can go. Like, that's not the biggest main event. Like, that's just the way it is. In terms of the marquee, Roman Reigns Edge, that's the biggest match they can pretty much do right now.
I mean, I disagree, but yeah, Roman Reigns Edge, is that the biggest match they could do? Is Edge the biggest name they could really pull out for Roman at this point for a WrestleMania?
I think Edge is a great name. Edge is a Hall of Famer. Like,
yeah.
Why not? He's one of the greatest Canadian wrestlers of all time.
I just don't see the story with Roman and Edge. I don't see the heat there. I don't really feel the tension.
We still got time.
Yeah.
They're building it.
Are they? Because they seem to be building Bryan versus Roman. Like, they're not going to have much time to build tension between Edge and Roman because in the meanwhile, Roman is doing something else. So skip to the end of the night here. Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso. They wrestle for a while. It's pretty good. Daniel Bryan is getting his knee worked over by Jey Uso. I enjoyed it. They go outside of the ring. Jey runs Bryan's knee into the ring steps a couple times, holds on to him as the referee counts to 10. Jey seems good with just getting the double count out because then that means Daniel Bryan doesn't beat him and doesn't get the title match against Cousin Roman at Fastlane. So Bryan doesn't win. Jey Uso screws Daniel Bryan, gets the double count out. They both lose. And Bryan then gets mad, puts Jey in the yes lock. Roman Reigns shows up, attacks Bryan. Bryan puts Roman in the yes lock. And then Jey hits a super kick on Bryan. Roman hits a spear on Bryan. Roman puts his guillotine on Bryan and chokes him out to stand tall at the end of Smackdown. But it does seem clear to me that Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan is what we're heading towards at Fastlane. And it also seems clear to me that Kevin Owens has been disappeared for a while because they have no idea what to do with him now. Where was he? But sticking with Daniel Bryan, despite what happened tonight, I believe Roman Reigns will defend his championship at Fastlane, and it will be against Daniel Bryan. I saw somebody say, Bob Cote says, how about a triple threat at WrestleMania? Edge, Bryan, Roman. I wouldn't mind that. I would not mind that. I'd like to see Daniel Bryan involved in a major way at WrestleMania because, as you saw tonight, in the ring, match-wise, wrestling-wise, on the microphone, whatever he does, Daniel Bryan is one of, if not the best in the whole company, if not the entire world. Daniel Bryan is great. Daniel Bryan is an undeniable talent. If you can't see that Daniel Bryan is a once-in-a-generation wrestler, well, maybe you need to look a little closer. I understand that he's not everybody's favorite, but you got to respect who Daniel Bryan is. Daniel Bryan is one of the best in-ring professional wrestlers of his time. Everybody in his generation reveres him. in 20, 30 years, people will be talking about Daniel Bryan like they talk about Bret the Hitman Hart today. That's the type of wrestler Daniel Bryan is. Do you disagree with that assessment, John? Like, he is elite. You know, I think people will be talking about Bret, or will be talking about Bret forever. People will be talking about Daniel Bryan forever. He's one of those guys. Like AJ Styles. I think people will be talking about AJ Styles, you know, in 20, 30 years like they talk about Shawn Michaels today. One of the greatest ever. Daniel Bryan is in that company. In my view, what do you think?
Well, Daniel Bryan for his generation. I mean, for greatest of all time kind of thing, it really depends on your taste in a sense, because like there's different eras in wrestling, so it's really hard to judge that. But I mean, for his time, yeah, sure, no doubt about it. But I also feel that he's got a WrestleMania match. It's going to be him and Seth Rollins, and I think that's a great match for WrestleMania.
Yeah, maybe. Although the Cesaro-Seth Rollins thing isn't going away, maybe they get rid of that before WrestleMania, which they could. They could. It's possible. Seth Rollins cut a big, long promo tonight about Cesaro. Cesaro was just standing there wearing no shirt and jeans. Seth talking about how great Cesaro is, but if he followed him, if he joined him, he'd get to the next level because Seth knows how to get to the next level in WWE. And he went on and on and on, and it just wouldn't end. It wouldn't end. Seth talks a lot and says nothing. Like, he's really good at just using different words to say the same sentence over and over again. He must own.
I wouldn't say it's good.
No, I mean, he's not. It's not entertaining, but I'm just saying he's very good at saying the same thing in different ways forever. Right? Doesn't it seem like he said one thing about Cesaro? Cesaro, you're great, but you could be better if you followed my advice. But it took him like 20 minutes to say that. That's why you need to watch our show, because you don't need to watch the 20-minute Seth Rollins promo, even though it wasn't 20 minutes. It felt like it. Because all you need to see is my recap. This is what Seth said to Cesaro. Cesaro, you're really good. But if you followed me, the Messiah, if you followed my teachings, you would be a champion and you wouldn't hit the glass ceiling and you'd be better. And then Cesaro just stood there, shirtless, and then eventually he grabbed Seth, spun him around in his spin, his swing thing, and he tossed him, and then he hit him with an uppercut, and he walked away. And then Daniel Bryan made his entrance as Cesaro left, and they did a fist bump. They're friends. Like, you don't need to watch it. I could recap a whole segment in 15 seconds, you know? Why watch a Seth Rollins promo ever? I mean, I watch them, but I don't enjoy them. He really says the same thing. It's like he went to the Triple H school of promo. Triple H was the master of that. I never seen anybody do that in wrestling before him, I guess. I think he was the originator of saying the same thing over and over again and taking up 20 minutes every show. And then Seth started doing it. Randy does it too. Randy's not as good at it. Triple H was the master. Those long promos. Remember that, John? He would just drone on and on.
Yeah, I remember. But the problem also was that they gave him like a lot of time that he's got to fill. So that's why he would just drag out his promos. And Seth has mastered that. Not exactly anything entertaining, though. But Triple H wasn't exactly always entertaining either.
No. No, I'm dissing them, John.
This.
No, I'm shitting on these guys. I'm saying they suck. I'm saying their promos were bad. They were given too much time. I mean, they could fill it, but that's really what it is. It's filler. You know, the Seth and Triple H promos both seem like filler, and that's what Seth felt like tonight. It's just like, let's just throw Seth Rollins out there. Patrick C. Hamilton dropped a super chat. We appreciate you dropping super chats at any point during the show. He says, we need to buy Johnny some more light. My 56-year-old eyes are having trouble. Who's with me? Apparently your studio's a little dark there, Johnny. Johnny's in the Johnny North basement, the dark woods. I'm in the Ringside Report studio, so everything's nice and lit behind me. Maybe I gave you a light, John, and you have it going, but maybe you need 2 or 3 more of them.
Yeah, 2 or 3 more, yeah. Keep those super chats going. Maybe one day we'll get one.
Yeah, keep those super chats going, and maybe next week or the week after, Johnny North will have more light. Well, I'd like Johnny North to be a little bit brighter as well. So keep hitting us up on those super chats. Become a member. Go to donate.ringsidereport.net. Derek John is a member. He says he thinks Seth Rollins will find a follower, and at WrestleMania, it'll be Cesaro and Daniel Bryan in a team against Seth and his follower. Maybe Buddy Murphy? Just bring him back as Seth's follower. He's not doing anything. Yeah, but so what? That's what they do.
Yeah, they could. It's just I think a singles match is usually better. Like, I feel like you could put a bunch of teams against each other. Like, you overdo it though when you do stuff like that. Like, in the WWE Championship match is more likely going to be a multi-man match. You're going to want those big like one-on-one matches because I think they're rare.
You think WWE Championship is going to be multi-man as well?
Well, the way it's shaping right now, I mean, it seems like there's a bunch of guys.
Oh, you weren't with me on Monday. Do you think Bobby takes it on Monday? I do the Raw post show by myself on Monday nights. It's a little late for Johnny. He's got to be up early on Tuesday mornings. But what do you think about Monday, Miz versus Bobby? You think Bobby takes the title from Miz here or what?
Oh, I think there's going to be shenanigans because there's too many other people around. You got Drew McIntyre, you got Braun Strowman. I mean, I know he lost, but he's still probably mad about it. So that's going to drag out the Fastlane. I mean, you could get a multi-man at Fastlane too. Yeah,
Sheamus too.
Yeah, AJ to a certain extent. Like, there's a lot of guys in that mix. So I'd be surprised if they don't do a multi-man at least by Fastlane.
What a dumb move by Bobby attacking Braun after he beat him after the match, you know? When you're a WWE wrestler, why would you anger a guy like Braun Strowman when you have a WWE title match next week? It's like you beat Braun. That's going to piss him off enough. Why do a post-match attack when he could clearly cost you your WWE title match next week? Like, wouldn't you want to just make nice with everybody on the roster? Oh, shit. Kenta just going off the top rope with an elbow drop to the outside. Jon Moxley was set up on a table. Moxley goes through the table on this Kenta versus Moxley match that I'm watching. New Japan Strong for the IWGP US title. Fucking wrestling's nonstop, eh, John? Never stops, buddy. Never stops. I love it. I think you're right, though. I think it'll be Seth versus somebody one-on-one at Mania. I'm just not convinced it'll be Daniel Bryan. I think it might still be Cesaro. What else happened on SmackDown tonight? We had, what was your match of the night? Was it Apollo Crews versus Shinsuke Nakamura or Tamina versus Liv Morgan?
I thought the main event was good. I like Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso. I thought that was good.
The finish was bad. Not a great finish, though.
Finish made sense, though, in terms of the story.
Yeah, that's true. How about this story? Apollo Crews in his promo. Crews gets an in-ring promo, gets a microphone middle of the ring, live TV. He says he's been too nice and too humble for too long. He says he's not from the hood, he's from Nigeria. He's Nigerian royalty, and he is a real African American. He says his great-grandfather was Nigerian royalty and controlled some of the richest lands in Nigeria and had 5 wives. And he says, imagine that, 5 wives. I'm sure those women were very happy. Crews says, I mean, maybe they were, I don't know. Crews says his word was law, his great-grandfather, his word was law, and his power was feared. And this is who he is, and this is who he represents. Crews says he spoke to his grandparents and they gave them encouraging words, and I'm not going to do the accent that Crews used for his grandparents because I think I'd get in trouble for doing it. But it was an African accent. And even Crews doing it seemed borderline. And then Nakamura showed up because he has a match with Crews. Crews attacked him before the bell. We went to commercial. When we come back from commercial, somehow the ref has regained control of the situation and we're in a match, which is not really great. They didn't explain how we went from pre-match attack into mid-match, but hey, commercial breaks, it's just a way to get out of an uncomfortable situation booking-wise, I guess. Speaking of an uncomfortable situation, that Apollo Crews promo was something. Aha. Did you like it?
I found that it was odd to use the scarf to symbolize his wealth, because immediately I think of Del Rio when something like that comes up. And I'm like,
Oh.
I don't know if you want to mix that together. I don't know if you felt that way, but that's the way I saw it right away. And I'm like, I don't know if you want to mix that together.
I thought when I saw him talking about his ceremonial scarf or the scarf that symbolized whatever, I just thought of a tallis, which is a Jewish scarf that you get when you get a bar mitzvah. It's kind of the same thing. And I was like, what is that, some sort of tallis? But I'm Jewish, so I kind of see it through that lens, I suppose, John. I don't think you know what a tallis is, so you're not thinking about Apollo Crews and his Nigerian tallis. I know I'm popping the Jews in the audience right now, but my fellow Jews are like, oh, Apollo Crews got a tallis. But now that you mentioned scarves in wrestling and being rich, I don't really think of Del Rio. I think more of Jericho or MJF, the Scarf Boys. But, yeah, I don't know. I just thought the accent was a little much. I thought the talking about 5 wives and his great-grandfather who ruled over Nigeria with an iron fist, like that seemed a little warlordy, and not like the warlord, but like an actual warlord, you know? I don't know. He seems to be embracing a man and a gimmick and a way of life that may be problematic, to say the least. I don't know. If you're controlling some of the richest lands in Nigeria, your word is law, and your power is feared, and you have 5 wives, what kind of man are you? And is this the kind of man that you want to base a wrestling gimmick off of? Because Crews invoking his great-grandfather definitely seemed like he was saying, this is who I am. I mean, that's what he said. He said, this is who I am. This is what I represent. What my great-grandfather represented. And, you know, it is what it is, I suppose, but you know what I'm saying? If your word is law and your power is feared, and you control some of the richest lands in Nigeria, are you a good guy? I mean, Crews is obviously a heel, but what kind of heel? Moxley just won. What kind of heel? You know, it's like, it's borderline, and when they get into that kind of cultural, political realm, I don't trust them to steer it in the right direction and do right by the story and the culture and everything. Bob Cote says, WWE, racist since 1983. I mean, yeah, a little bit. You know, it seems a little weird. It's a little... I mean, I was fascinated watching it. I was shocked that they were going there. But I'm not sure it's the right move for them. And I don't think it's the right move for Apollo Crews. I don't think it's going to do him any favors long term. And I think it's going to be really weird when Big E has to respond to this promo. What the hell does Big E say to that?
Yeah, that's a good question how that's all going to turn out. But I think this is them giving Apollo Crews something, because they didn't give him much of anything in terms of a character. Like, when he said, like, we don't know who he is, like, he was very accurate with that. Like, besides the fact that, yeah, he's a wrestler, what else do we really know about him? He has 2 kids because they put it on the notes for Smackdown when he comes out, the stats. That's all we really know about him. Like, there's not much in terms of a character that they've really given us. So at least they're giving him something. They're actually giving him mic time. Like, when does he actually cut a promo? That's also very rare. So, like, I like that they're trying something with him. Like, could they have done a different character? Of course they could have done a different character, but a lot of wrestling characters are controversial.
Yeah.
And a lot of them...
Come on.
It's hard now.
He said, I'm a real African-American. And Big E is not?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's Black History Month. Big E has a show that he's putting out to celebrate great black historical figures. He's involved in this show that's coming out. Big E is, really pushing it. And now he's in a feud with Apollo Crews, who's basically saying, I come from Africa, and I'm a real African-American, unlike my opponent, Big E, who I attacked last week. It is a very iffy story to tell here in the WWE. And as two white guys, I don't really want to talk about it because I'm uncomfortable. But it's not great. It is not great. And I feel for Big E and I feel for Apollo because it seemed like before Apollo, especially before he did the accent, before he did the African accent, you could tell he was like, all right, I'm about to do the accent. Here we go. Like, you could tell in his eyes that he was preparing himself to do something that he didn't want to do. It's like, okay, I'm going to swallow these cockroaches. I got to do what I got to do to survive, I guess. Law of the jungle. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has to do what he has to do to survive. These are the lines that were given to him. Okay, Apollo, then do the accent. Do like, an African accent. Vince, I don't do that. I don't know. Come on. Just figure it out, pal. Like this. And then Vince does the accent in front of Apollo. Apollo's like, oh, my God, this is super racist. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do Vince doing the accent. Although I kind of want to, I'm not going to because I'm going to get myself into trouble.
Well, I'm not going to make assumptions on what he possibly thinks. Like, I'm not sure what he thinks, Apollo Crews. To me, it's like
you can see it on his face.
To me, that's trying to memorize all those lines because that's a lot to memorize right there. So that's what I'm thinking. A lot of the wrestlers, if they're like taking a pause or something, it's like, okay, what's the next line kind of thing to say? That's the way I look at it.
Maybe you're right. Derek John wonders, does Apollo change his name back to Uha Nation? I don't think so. That's an indie name, and they're going to keep his name Apollo Crews, which is not a great name, not a great gimmick. And we'll see what Big E does next with that. Why is it okay to do like a Russian guy accent? Like, you could do accents. Like, if I did like a German man accent, you know what I mean? That would be fine. But if I did like an African guy accent or like a guy from China accent, that would be a little, you know what I mean? But you're just kind of talking about, you're just doing an impression of how those people speak. But there are certain countries you can't do the accent of. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I did the accent that Apollo did, the African guy accent that he did on SmackDown tonight, I would get in big trouble, I think. If, like, a white wrestler did that on SmackDown, big trouble. Black wrestler doing it on SmackDown, yeah, it's all right. But, if a white wrestler did, like, a Russian guy accent on SmackDown, it's fine. Like, Reginald is doing a fake French accent on SmackDown, right? No one has a problem with that. But if Reginald did like a fake Japanese accent on SmackDown, you'd be like, whoa, what the hell is this? You know what I'm saying? It's weird, like what accents you can do and what accents you can't, but like, whatever. It is what it is. I got no problem with it. I'm not trying to say that you should do one or one or the other. I'm just like, oh, how come this and not the other? It's just an observation. I'm not really taking a stand either way because I don't give a shit. Although Reginald's fake French accent, is Kevin Owens offended? You know what I'm saying?
I highly doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt it. I don't think Kevin Owens is offended by much. Seems like a pretty thick-skinned dude. No? Oh, no? Well, you know him more than I do. I don't know. He seems kind of like a tough guy. Words don't bother him. Maybe not.
Well, I don't know if you noticed this one time in Ring of Honor, like some fans were like yelling at him and he went after those fans. So like, yeah, you can, upset him sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
well, sometimes you got to go after fans across the line.
Oh, I'm not saying he was in the wrong on doing that, but, you can upset him. And he will fight back.
What did you think of the Apollo Crews and Shinsuke Nakamura match? And was that an angle slam that Apollo hit him with for the win?
Yeah, a really good angle slam, too, because he got great rotation on it, I thought.
It was an angle slam, though, right?
Good.
It was sweet. It was a solid match. It wasn't so bad.
It was fine, the match. Like, it wasn't anything, like, amazing, but it was solid, I thought.
Yeah. Tamina beats Liv Morgan with a side twist slam thing. That was probably the worst match on the show.
Well, I mentioned this on Twitter. Like, I feel like Tamina, if she's going to hit that move for the finish, like, maybe just throw Liv down and not go down with it, because that's what made it seem kind of awkward. Was like, it didn't seem like she was ready to go down with it. The timing was off, so the bump was very uneven. And when the bump doesn't sound good on the finish, then it just feels like the match was a waste.
And it was.
It shouldn't have been.
Really? Tamina versus Liv Morgan? That's never going to be good.
Well, if you're going to try to push like the women's division on SmackDown in terms of the tag team, like that's pretty much your tag teams on SmackDown. So that needs to be something, and the finish needs to be better.
Yeah, well, the finish definitely needs to be better. We agree on that. I like the finish to the Street Profits, King Corbin, Sami Zayn match. I thought the finish was really nice. That little double underhook drop thing that Dawkins did, and then Montez goes to the top rope, hits his big splash. I like that combination finish by the Street Profits. They get the win. They pin Sami. Corbin, distracted by Sami Zayn's documentary crew, and yelled at them, pushed one of them, yelled at Sami after the match. Sami did a promo before with Corbin saying that they should be a tag team and doesn't understand why Corbin doesn't like him. And I'm glad that they addressed that, because Corbin was like attacking Sami a lot in the Elimination Chamber when there were baby faces to wrestle instead. And I was like, why are you going after Sami? You're like the only two heels in this match, and Corbin just kept going after Sami. It was very strange. And Sami addressed it on SmackDown. Sami's really good. He's great in the ring. He's great on the microphone. He's such a talent. And then they lost, though, so I don't know. I don't know what they're doing there. I guess Sami and Corbin are going to feud. Do you turn Sami babyface through this? Like, how?
I think it's really just to get another tag team, because I don't think they have anything else for those guys at this point. So the tag team division's kind of weak, so put them together as a team that doesn't really get along. Maybe eventually they will get along and become a threat.
So that's what they are. They're like a team that's not a team. And, of course, the other team that won, the Street Profits, they're for sure going to face Ziggler and Rude maybe at Fastlane for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. And we have another WrestleMania match. Bianca Belair in the ring talking about making her choice for WrestleMania after winning the Royal Rumble. Reginald shows up, who's Carmella's sommelier. Carmella wasn't on this show. Carmella getting less TV time than Reginald at this point. Reginald says, yes, Bianca, you should pick somebody else other than Sasha because you will lose because Sasha is the best. Reginald, for some reason, is Sasha Banks' #1 fan. Ever since Sasha beat him in a one-on-one match on SmackDown, which I was shocked even happened, Reginald now is Sasha's #1 fan. At first, he hated Sasha. He was with Carmella. He was her sommelier. Now he seems to just want to be Sasha's sommelier and personal manager and maybe tag team partner and maybe more. I don't know. And Sasha's not having it. Sasha Banks shows up, pushes Reginald out of the way, tells him not to speak for her. And then Bianca decides that Sasha will indeed be her opponent at WrestleMania. She points to the sign, and pyro goes off, which is a new deal that the WWE is doing. Now when you point to the sign, it's not enough. To make your match official, you have to point to the sign, and then pyro will go off. Just like Edge did at Elimination Chamber when he pointed to the sign and pyro went off. Tonight on SmackDown, Bianca does the same. So it will be Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks at WrestleMania. We knew it was going to happen. This is no big surprise. What the fuck is the deal with Reginald? I can't figure out what the hell they're doing with this guy. Where is Carmella? What is the deal with Reginald? Why does he love Sasha now? What in the fuck?
Well, I believe from what it looks like, they like Reginald as the talker, and this is face versus face, so they need to throw in some sort of heel. So that's why Reginald's there. And you don't watch NXT, but something that was really lacking in NXT is like good promos. And I guess like this is why he skipped NXT. I guess he was doing good in promo class because they needed somebody to talk on the main shows, and I think they like how he talks. You might not like it, but I think they're very confident in him because they gave him a lot of like promo time, not only this week but almost every week.
Yeah. I have not been entertained by Reginald, but he is deeply involved. Will he be the special referee for Bianca Sasha? Like, what is the end game here? Does he become Sasha's manager and Sasha goes in as the heel at WrestleMania? Is that what they're trying to do here?
They should.
Turn Sasha heel by having her use Reginald as her manager? Because nobody likes Reggie, right? And then you just kind of disappear Carmella because who cares? She served her purpose. She brought Reginald into the WWE. Wow.
Yeah, well, have a draft or whatever, or Carmella just does her whatever thing. Like, you're trying to build this match with Sasha and Bianca, so I think Reginald, yeah, that'd be great to make Sasha heel because of Reginald, but will they do that? I feel like they still might just do face versus face, though, and Reginald's just there, so it's like, so both of them can beat him up, so they both look good going into the match, but it's still face versus face.
Who wins?
The way it's looking right now, I say Sasha.
Yeah, I think Bianca. They're going all the way with Bianca.
I wish.
The Smackdown title doesn't mean anything.
I like to believe that, but they push Sasha like crazy, and Sasha took the loss at the last pay-per-view, and I feel like that usually comes back around, and I feel like it's going to come back around WrestleMania.
I think Sasha took the loss because Bianca's not taken any losses.
That's a good way of looking at it, and yeah, that'd be great that they're protecting her, but I also feel like they're protecting her because she's going to lose the big one.
Yep. I don't think so. I think Bianca will win. I think she will win the big one. Because one of the Royal Rumble winners has to win, and it ain't going to be Edge.
Shocking. Should be Edge.
Is it shocking, though? Edge versus Roman. You really think Edge wins?
Well, it's going to be the main event, right? I mean, don't you want to end the main event? Make the people go home happy? Like, Edge should win. Give them a happy ending.
There's no people.
There is people. There's supposed to be people, no?
Is there going to be people? Well, they don't need to go home happy. Edge should
bad ending.
Lose. He should lose.
Sad.
He's 47 and he's facing the face of the company. I mean, could we just be honest about what pro wrestling is and what should really happen? Roman should beat Edge. He's 35 years old. He's in the prime of his career. He's the new John Cena. He's the guy. Head of the table. His yard. All that shit. It's Roman's time. Edge's time is gone. Edge is here to put people over. Edge is here to have a big match at WrestleMania with Roman and lose. You don't beat Roman. I mean, that's what the WWE does. They build up their current stars so hard where they beat everybody on the roster, and then they bring some old-timer, part-timer to just beat them. That's what WWE does, right? They do it with Goldberg. They did it with Goldberg and The Fiend. They do it with Brock Lesnar every time Brock Lesnar shows up. They do it with The Rock every time The Rock shows up. It really is what they do, but it's not conducive to good business, and they don't usually do it with Roman. You look at Roman's track record at Mania, look at the guys he's beat. He beat Undertaker. He beat Brock, right?
Yeah, he beat Brock, but was it WrestleMania? Not WrestleMania. No? He beat Brock on other pay-per-views.
Whatever. He's beat everybody. And if you look at, Roman's track record of Mania, he's beat some pretty big guys. He beat Triple H, right? He beat Undertaker. He beat others at WrestleMania. He's a pretty big star for the WWE, and he's in the prime of his career. He should beat Edge at Mania. And if he doesn't, I'd be pretty shocked and honestly disappointed. Because I don't believe in Roman losing at this point to Edge. Brock beat Roman at WrestleMania 34. After Roman had gone back-to-back Manias beating Triple H and Undertaker, Brock beat him. Still, he's done quite well. He beat Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. And last year, of course, he didn't wrestle at Mania because it was COVID Mania, and Roman was supposed to wrestle Goldberg and supposed to beat Goldberg, but he pulled out, and Braun Strowman cut that spot instead. Roman beats Edge at WrestleMania, 100%. It's what should happen. It's what will happen.
Well, we still got a long ways to go until we get there, so wait and see how the story unfolds. But I'd like to see Edge win. I think Edge winning would be a great moment. Great for his comeback. When you thought he'd never come back and wrestle again, it'd be great for him to get that.
He shouldn't be the guy to beat Roman Reigns. Shouldn't be Edge. Just shouldn't be. And I don't think it's going to be. I think Edge loses, and I think Bianca wins. And John, it sounds like you're on the other side of both matches. So WrestleMania is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have coverage, post-Mania coverage for both nights of WrestleMania this year on April 10th and 11th. Johnny North thinks Sasha Banks will retain. I think Bianca Belair will win. Johnny North thinks Edge will win the Universal title. I think Roman Reigns will retain. I like that we're split already. About a month and a bit out, month and a week out from WrestleMania, and we are split on the two matches that they've announced so far. Interesting.
Well, a lot can happen between now and, until we get to WrestleMania. So, wait and see. Again, Bianca and Sasha, that's really going to be telling on the story because, they're going to give Bianca chances. I just feel like in terms of the promos, they haven't really been delivering. And, in terms of the matches, you haven't really seen much of her. She hasn't even really been wrestling that much besides that tag match they did and that 6-person match they did. You haven't really seen much of Bianca. So when you're not seeing a lot of her and she should be more active, that's a little concerning.
You're going to see plenty of her leading into Mania. It's going to be Bianca Mania. They're pushing Bianca like crazy. Bob Cote says, this seems like the first week with Billie Kay not appearing. Good point. Where was Billie Kay this week? Disappointing that I didn't see her. She's one of the more entertaining people. You talk about promos. Not many people could cut a promo. Billie Kay can cut a promo. I don't know why Billie Kay doesn't just replace Reginald and become Carmella's new sommelier. Seems like that position is open. Billie Kay could fill that role. Billie and Carmella seem like an excellent tag team. Give Carmella something to do. Kevin Owens wasn't on SmackDown tonight. Where was Kevin Owens? What does Kevin Owens do at WrestleMania?
Yeah, there's not a lot of spots for Kevin. Again, I think him and Sami Zayn, I think that's an easy one right there. Both of them don't seem really like they're doing much, and that's going to be a good match, so I think that's what they should do.
Sami Zayn? One-on-one?
Yeah, I think everyone would buy into that right away easily.
Yeah, I just don't see them doing that this year. Derek John, one of the members of the team, he says he's with Johnny North. He thinks Sasha and Edge will win at WrestleMania. I can tell you tonight that Jon Moxley won. He beat Kenta in a pretty uneventful match. Beat Kenta, hit him with the Paradigm Shift DDT, 1, 2, 3, middle of the ring, retains the IWGP United States Championship. No interference, nobody from New Japan showing up, nobody from AEW showing up, no Kenny Omega to invade a New Japan show and attack Jon Moxley ahead of their exploding barbed wire death match. None of that. No shenanigans, nothing. It was just Moxley versus Kenta one-on-one in a match that Moxley won, which is fine. It was a good match. It was fine. But, yeah, maybe not what you might have been expecting given all the hype and all the kind of crossover with Kenta and Moxley. All this crossover, all this Kenta stuff showing up on AEW, and, all the, the Forbidden Door and all that stuff and all the teasing with New Japan was all kind of building around this match for the IWGP US title on this New Japan show tonight. And there was nothing. There was no shenanigans, no nothing. Just Moxley showing up, defending his title, beating Kenta, and that's it. So Moxley, still a champion for New Japan Pro Wrestling, will continue wrestling for that company, but no sign of further crossover between AEW and New Japan, at least not tonight on the New Japan show. So we've seen AEW people show up, we've seen AEW people show up in Impact. We've seen Impact people show up in AEW, of course, the Good Brothers. We saw Kenta from New Japan show up in AEW, but we still have not seen anybody from AEW. I guess Moxley, but nobody other than Moxley really showing up in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Well, he had his own deal, though, with New Japan, so that's kind of different, though.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's a different deal. It's not like there was some sort of, Kenny invasion. I thought that, best case scenario, like most hype scenario, Kenny shows up and attacks Moxley at the end of the match, during the match, whatever. A post-match beatdown from Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers would have made headlines for New Japan and AEW and Impact Wrestling. The Good Brothers and Kenny Omega returned to New Japan Pro Wrestling. That would have been huge. And it would have set up, further the match between Moxley and Kenny at the AEW pay-per-view next week. It wouldn't have been a bad move if they could have got it done. Have Kenny show up and attack Moxley. Especially Kenny and the Good Brothers. That would have been something. Or Kenny and the Young Bucks. Could you imagine? Would have been huge. Or just Kenny. Anybody. Anything. Any kind of hype build from AEW tonight on the New Japan show would have helped. I mean, I don't know how much it would have helped. I don't know how many people are really going to watch the New Japan show, that aren't going to watch AEW Revolution, right? You got to think, what's the cross-section of people there? If you're watching the Jon Moxley-Kenta match, if you're watching New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong tonight, chances are you're going to tune in for the AEW pay-per-view next week, right? Like, if you're a wrestling fan that's going to watch this New Japan show tonight, this New Japan USA show, chances are you're going to watch the AEW Revolution show already, and you're already aware of it. So anybody from AEW showing up and being like, hey, New Japan fans, come watch us in AEW. It's like, yeah, we know. We're already there, right? So I guess that, but there's still like the buzz, the social media buzz, the wrestling buzz, the whole world of wrestling. There's nothing to buzz about right now. But if, Kenny had shown up tonight on New Japan, there would be some significant buzz. Buzz, buzz.
Well, you might be right, but you have to look at it how New Japan was looking at it. Like, how does that really help them? I mean, that's really helping AEW more than them. They didn't really need that. They just needed the match. They needed Moxley to wrestle Kenta. That's all they needed. So,
disagree. If you have Kenny Omega show up, even if it is to promote an angle for AEW, it still gives you a reason to tune in to a 3-match card on New Japan World, to sign up to New Japan World, because you never know who might be showing up on any given night. Even if it is just to promote somebody else, you're still creating the buzz and excitement for your product by having these stars on your show. That's a fact, John. That's a fact. People would sign up to New Japan World if they thought we'd see more Kenny and Moxley and stuff in New Japan. This was a 3-match card, throwaway, airing at a 10 p.m. on a Friday night and ended by 11. This thing was over in an hour. 3 matches, in and out, you're done. Nobody was watching this thing. But if you gave them a reason to watch it, like throw in a Kenny Omega appearance on it, well, then the next time New Japan had one of these things, you might be more likely to tune in. So I disagree with that. I think that, even though it would have been an AEW angle, it would still be shot on New Japan TV, and it would still create buzz for New Japan Pro Wrestling.
I think it's better they focus on what they have instead of get other things. Like, focus on your wrestling. I think that's great that they do that.
So you're not a fan of any of the crossover in pro wrestling right now? The New Japan guys showing up in Impact? Finn Juice showing up in Impact? The Good Brothers showing up on AEW TV? Kenta showing up on AEW TV? That does nothing for you? John Moxley being an AEW wrestler, wrestling on AEW TV this week, but also wrestling for New Japan Pro Wrestling? You're not a fan of that? You'd rather the wrestlers stay in their own promotions, or?
Well, John Moxley has his own separate deal with New Japan, so he's doing his own thing. That's fine. He can do his own little thing. The crossover stuff, it's fine, but it doesn't really add that much for me. Like, cool, I see Kenta again. That's nice, but it's not like, oh, now I really got to see this match. It's just a nice little bonus. That's it.
All right. Well, that's your opinion, Johnny North. And that's why we have you on here, because your opinion is different than mine, and it's good to have a variety of pro wrestling opinions, and that's what this show is all about. Apparently, I've been offered a contract to do some sort of wrestling deal. I don't know. I think you're involved in it. I'm just seeing this on Twitter show up, so we'll talk about that later.
I believe wrestling's banned in Canada, but...
Well, there's going to be wrestling coming up at some point, and people are offering me broadcasting deals and stuff. We'll see. We'll see. I'm open to it. I'm open for business. Should we talk about that thing that happened, or... I mean, we could just wrap up the deal. We could just wrap up.
It's your thing. Like, you can talk about it. Like, I don't know much more than what you tweeted out, so...
I don't really want to talk about it. I don't care. People seem to have made a bigger deal out of it than I did,
Well, I look at that and just, like, I think that sucks. I think it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, you see someone like Renee Young do a podcast, and, like, she does it with WWE wrestlers, AEW wrestlers. Does WWE have a problem with that? No.
Right. Yeah, well...
And WWE's, like, hardcore on that crazy stuff, too, but they're cool with it. So
yeah, they're a better company. They're a better company.
Not always.
Yeah. I got nothing to say, really, other than I used to appear on this radio station that and their parent company. I used to work for their parent company, but for a different radio station, right? And that radio station that I worked for, it had nothing to do with pro wrestling or MMA, right? So when I appeared on the sports station, the TSN station, it was just as Dave Simon from Ringside Report. It was not Dave Simon from that other radio station. In fact, you never saw any of my social media saying that I worked for that other radio station, because quite frankly, I was embarrassed because I think that radio station was goddamn awful, and it didn't represent my views whatsoever. And there's a lot of nerds and twerps over there. So I didn't really like that place, and I'm not really mad to not be working there anymore. But anyways, so they made a bunch of cuts, and I was part of the cuts at that radio station, so I don't work there anymore. And now I can't appear on the sports station and talk about MMA, where I was like their number one MMA and pro wrestling expert. Our show used to be on that radio station. I would always be on their various daytime shows talking to their guys about MMA. And I was a weekly guest on their morning show too, right? Every Friday morning I was on their morning show. And then when this all went down, when the parent company made the cuts, I was informed that that I was banned from that radio station, the sports radio station, that I didn't even work at, that they weren't paying me. You know what I mean? I wasn't getting paid for these phone interviews where I would tell them about fighting,
Right.
So I was like, oh, okay, I mean, that's cool. And apparently it's a policy of their parent company, like the big company. I'm not going to name the company because I don't want to dignify them by giving them any. Right? But you know who I'm talking about.
Of course.
If you check my Twitter, you know who I'm talking about. So apparently it's a policy of the parent company that anybody that's been fired from the company, even though it's like another wing of the company, they can't appear as a guest on any of their media, I think, ever again. I think it's a lifetime ban. So I think I've been lifetime banned from the radio station where I got my radio start. Like, I started working there in, 2004? Ringside Report started on their radio station in 2006. And now 2021, I'm banned. Which, honestly, I find funny because, like, I don't really give a shit. Like, the appearances that I was given to them for free. It took time out of my day. Sometimes I had to wake up earlier than I wanted to wake up just to do these interviews. They promoted the channel, but I think at this point, because everybody that listens to that radio station has heard me at one point or another over the past 15 years, I think all the promotion, like, we've squeezed all the juice out of that promotion vehicle. You know what I mean? Like, everybody that will ever hear of me or hear me on that station has already heard me. So continuing to do appearances on that station did nothing for me. I just liked the guys and I was helping out. I know how hard it is to be in radio and to book guests, especially good guests that know what the fuck they're talking about. Like old Dave over here, So I knew that I was an easy guest to book. And I was doing them a favor, and they gave me a little promotion for the channel in return, and I was all right with that. Now, there was one guy on that station who had me on his show who didn't promote shit one time. He had me on, didn't promote anything, and then it was just, okay, thanks, Dave. And I was like, all right, I'm never going on your show again. Like, what the hell was that? You think I do this for my health? I don't want to. Some people are marks to be on the radio. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm on the radio. This is so exciting. Let me call my mom and dad to tell them I'm on the radio. I've been on the radio for years. I know it's nothing special. I know it's not special. Believe me. Some of those people in radio think they're special, but believe me, they ain't special. There's something else, and I could say something else, but I'm going to keep my cool because there's some people I still like there, and I don't want to ruffle any feathers with some of my friends that are still there. I don't want to cause them any harm. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it is what it is. Like, I'm not mad. I just think it's funny. I think it's funny more than anything because it's like, I wasn't going to say anything bad about that station or those people or the radio business in general, which is tanking. Fucking radio is dead. YouTube is way bigger than radio. Twitch is way bigger than radio. Facebook is way bigger than radio. No one fucking listens to the radio anymore. Like, I'm good. And I wasn't going to say any of these things because I would still be appearing on the radio. But now that I've been banned, well, like, they could have kept me being nice, giving them free content, and, kept me quiet pretty much. But now, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to be nice. I'm going to be nice because I'm a nice guy. I got nothing. Like, I don't give a shit. And honestly, I don't care to do any more fucking radio interviews to help guys out that don't know about MMA. Like, if I want to talk about MMA, I want to talk about MMA with AJ and Fred because they're martial artists. They've been on the mats. They've tapped people out. They watch the UFC, and they know the game inside out. I'm not interested in having a fucking conversation with guys that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. It's nice for them, and it's all fine, and I don't mind explaining things in detail, but I feel like I'm dumbing it down. When I did interviews with a lot of those sports guys, I'm dumbing down the opinion to reach a general audience that may not know the difference between an armbar and a chokehold, right? And believe me, a lot of those sports guys that talk about sports don't know the difference between an armbar and a chokehold either, so I got to explain it to them. And that's okay, They like to watch basketball or hockey or whatever the fuck, and that's fine. But it's not like... It's not the be-all and end-all for me. I don't give a shit to appear on the radio. I really don't. I've been there. I've done that. It doesn't do anything for me. I'd much rather be here. I don't want to talk to somebody who doesn't know about pro wrestling. I want to talk to Johnny North. You know what I mean? You know about wrestling. I like talking to you about wrestling because you know about pro wrestling. I don't have to dumb shit down, you know? And I don't have to watch my language, and I don't have to, you know... I don't have to be, you know, in an hour-long format. I don't have to take commercial breaks. I don't have to do any of that bullshit. And I also don't have to watch my tongue. Because, A, I'm paid in full. They paid me off, so I'm good. I got all my money, so they don't owe me anything. Now I can fucking shoot my mouth off, right? They've paid me. I've got all my money, right? So I'm good, right? And B, what the fuck are they going to do? You know what I'm saying? I just told you they don't know the difference between a fucking chokehold and an armbar. Like, who's coming after Big Dave? Nobody, baby! So, you know, I think it's all fine. I just thought it was really funny. I put out that tweet today because the final check cleared, and I was like, hey, by the way, I know you guys have been used to hearing me on that radio station for like 15 years, but I'm not ever going to be on again, and it might be a little weird. So to avoid any questions, this is why. Yeah, Connor and Starr are always good guys. Connor and Sean and Campbell and Knuckles, Chris Nyland, good guys. All on that station. Good guys. I got no problem with any of those guys, you know? Good guys. A lot of those guys still in the radio business are good guys, and I feel for them because it fucking sucks. I can say that now, right? It sucked. I did not like working there, and I was looking for a way out, and they gave me a way out, and it was, I mean, they made the decision for me, which is actually much nicer. For those of you that know, it's way better to get fired than to quit. Believe me. Way better. Way better. So, like, I'm good. I feel for the guys that are still there that have to deal with those nerds in middle management, you know? Fucking nerds. I got nothing good to say about those guys. I'm not going to, you know, put their names out there or whatever, but, like, you know, there's a couple guys there that run the place that are just inept, complete buffoons. Total nerds. And there's a reason why you hear what you hear and why things suck so bad.
Understood.
What are they going to do? They can suck it. That's the other thing. I have no plans on working in any kind of Montreal news media ever again. The fuck am I going to do with the news? You know what I mean? I'm not in the news business. That's the weird thing. I was kind of in the news media, but I was like not really. But I've been in the wrestling and MMA business the whole time, just kind of undercover. They fucking had no idea. Oh, it's good. It's good times. It's funny stuff, John. I'm quite amused. So there's the story. I know a lot of people have been asking about the story, and they wanted to know how I felt about it. And people are like, oh, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. I'm like, no, nothing happened to me. Now I don't have to wake up early and do these hits on the radio. Like, it's time out of my day. I could be doing something else. I got fucking fights to watch, you know? We got research to do. We got shows to do. We got things to prep. Weed to smoke, and so on. We got things to fucking do. So... I mean, they weren't paying me to do those hits on the radio. So, you know, I just feel bad for them because I was a good guest and I was easy to book. And that's really what it is. I feel bad for those guys because whenever they texted me, I would go on and I was easy to book. So, sucks.
Yeah, it's a crummy situation. I mean, especially after you put almost like 2 decades worth of work in there, and then they treat you like that. It's horrible.
Yeah, but I'm not surprised because it's not like they treated me that well when I was there, right?
No, but still, it's like even after the fact, even after they they kick you out, then it's like, well, you have to stay out now. That's really ridiculous.
Well, you know what happened with our shows. They wanted us, after what? However long of being on the station, 14, 15 years, they're like, oh, yeah, we'd like you to pay to be on the station now. I'm like, what do you want me to pay to be on your broke-ass station? That you're telling me gets no ratings? Are you kidding me? How much? I'll give you $1. I was like, yeah, we'll yank the show off your station, no problem. I don't give a shit at all. I was like, yeah, are you crazy? I mean, come on, John. They were ridiculous from the jump. Radio business. They said, oh, we'd like you to pay to be on the air now. And I was like, that's new. You want me to pay you? That's not how this works. You pay me. And they're like, no, we want to pay you. You want to... I was like, oh, okay. See ya. We have a YouTube channel and everything. We don't really need to be on the radio. It's fine. Incredible. I mean, come on, man. I mean, now I'm letting it all fucking go, right? I've never said that. I've never said that publicly. I've never said why exactly Ringside Report and Wrestling Uncensored stopped being on the radio. But that's why. Because they wanted us to pay to be on. Crazy. Insanity. Some of these guys, and it's not like they did that to everybody, you know what I mean? Like, they did that to the people that they were kind of fucking with, you know? And they wanted to fuck with me. And I was like, well, fuck you, actually. You don't fuck me, I fuck you. That's how it works. Woo! We're shooting tonight, brother. Shooting.
Good times.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap up the show before I get into any more trouble, okay? Let's go.
Well, you're not in any trouble, you know. You're just venting right now, that's all.
No, I'm just telling you what it is, man. I'm telling you what happened. Telling you the story. Oh, it's a funny story. Go to ringsidereport.net. You find everything MMA. You find everything pro wrestling over at ringsidereport.net. Don't forget to check out our friends over at Manscaped. Support the team. Go to manscaped.com. Use that promo code ringside20. You get 20% off your order plus free shipping. And go to bet99.com. Place your wagers for the UFC tomorrow night. Go to bet99.com and you use that promo code ringside when you sign up. There's Johnny North of Manscaped, man. He's there. He's ready.
Ringside 20 was the promo code for that.
Well, that's for Manscaped. IP Vanish as well. Support the sponsors, baby. Support all the sponsors. Manscaped, IP Vanish. Go to vpn.ringsidereport.net to sign up. You could go to bet99.com as well. You know? Use the promo code ringside. Use that promo code ringside at bet99.com, and they will give you a matching bonus when you sign up to $600. Pretty fantastic. Pretty fantastic deal over at bet99.com. And if you follow us at Ringside Report on Twitter and Instagram, you can see Freddie's picks, AJ's picks, and my picks for UFC Vegas 20 going down tomorrow night. Freddie, AJ, and I will be back here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, to watch the UFC. Cyril Gann, our man Cyril Gann, taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik in the main event. Co-main event, the guy I call the future champion of the light heavyweight division, Magomed Ankalaev, takes on Nikita Krylov. A big UFC show tomorrow night. Freddie, AJ, and I will be here 8 p.m. Eastern to watch the UFC with you. Okay? We'll be here tomorrow night.
Big week for you this week. Wow.
That's it. Big week. We're excited. We're having fun. I looked at the month of March, and it is very exciting. You know, the month of March has 2 UFC pay-per-views, a WWE pay-per-view, and an AEW pay-per-view. Big month next month. Even bigger than February. I love it. Mako wants proof that Manscaped works, Johnny. He wants proof.
Well, when you buy it, try it. There's your proof right there.
Hey, when you buy it, try it. I like that. Derek John wants to know any other shows that pay to be on. I can't really comment about any of the other shows. I don't want to talk about any other shows or anybody else's business. I'll tell you what happened with me. I'll tell you my business, and that's it. I'm not trying to... I don't really know. I don't really care. Quite frankly, I don't really care. Douglas Hepburn says, enjoy your night, folks. Have a smoke ski, Dave. Okay, I will, Doug. If you insist, I'll go right now. Thanks, everybody, and we will talk to you tomorrow night for UFC Vegas 20. Our man, Cyril Gann. This has been Ringside Report MMA. Don't forget to like. Wait, this isn't Ringside Report MMA. This is Wrestling Uncensored. Ringside Report MMA is the whole deal, okay? RingsideReport.net is our website. That's the show. See you tomorrow.
Thank you and good night.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Ringside Report started on the radio, added podcasts, and moved to video in 2019. Our hosts are not just fans, but have in-depth knowledge of the subjects. Become a member of our YouTube channel now and become a recurring supporter of our work as we strive to continue to entertain you in these strange times. Pro wrestler Johnny Genesis North joins lifelong wrestling fan and aficionado Dave Simon to host our pro wrestling programming with in-depth coverage of the WWE, AEW, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Our flagship show, Wrestling Uncensored, is live every Friday right after WWE Smackdown. Here, you get a review of the week that was. You may not agree with our host. In fact, they often don't agree with each other. But you have an opportunity to chime in with your viewpoint in the chat rooms while live or in the comments section of YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook on the replay. Dave and Johnny also headline our coverage of major pro wrestling pay-per-views and breaking news. Dave Simon is joined by experienced jiu-jitsu fighters Fred Garcia and the ever-unpredictable AJ DeLesio, each Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern with Ringside Report MMA. They try and foresee what's next in the octagon and review, argue, and kibitz in a very friendly, irreverent manner. The three guys also team up to accompany you on all the major UFC pay-per-views with entertaining watch-alongs. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.